With that, I will move to the next slide. And now we will have the introduction, a quick introduction to the project and project management areas. And before that, give me just a 2-second break. I need to sip some water. Okay. So what is a project? The definition says a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Anything that we do which is temporary in nature is a project, can be qualified to be a project. And I get this question a lot of time from people that, we work in operations industry, we work in the service industry, it's an operational environment, we don't have projects. No, anything that you're doing that has a definite start and end is a project. It could be a small project having a duration of 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. It could be a long duration, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, but it will be a project. And second characteristic is unique output. The output of the project has to be unique in some or other way. So when I say unique, it means unique within that organization. So if you have to develop an application, let's talk about ERP application. If you have to develop an ERP application for a client, you will develop that. You'll spend some 6 months time in developing that application, and then you'll deploy it there. After that, you're going to get another contract. From another customer will come. He will ask for the similar kind of ERP application. And then you cannot say that, no, this is not a project because it is not unique. We have already done that. That new customer, the deployment that you need to do at the second customer can also be a project because he may ask for certain customizations, certain minor changes. The scope will be limited of that project. You may not have to spend 6 months in developing that. You may have to spend probably 10 or 15 days in doing some customization, but that also will be called as a project. And the third characteristic is progressive elaboration. So progressive elaboration is a very important characteristic of a project. So it's like walking in the mist. When you start walking, when you are outside that area, you see that, oh, there is a mist, we don't have clarity. But as you move forward, as you move ahead, you will get better clarity. So when you start a project, for example, if you want to plan a vacation, so the moment you get this thought that maybe we should go for a vacation, you are going to think about, okay, where shall we go? You will have some high-level budget constraints. Your family members can say, okay, let's go to Switzerland. And then you look at your budget and say, no, we cannot go to Switzerland. You need not to do a detailed estimation at that time. Looking at the high level information that you have, you say that, okay, let us go to some place in India for a vacation. And once you have agreed that, okay, we'll go for a vacation in 2 months from now, then you start working on other details. Okay, when we are going to do that, when we are going to go there, when we are going to come back, what will be the mode of transportation we will have, how we'll travel by train, by air, or by road. And once you agree on that, then where you're going to stay. So you can see, as you are making progress, as you are moving ahead with your project, you are getting more details, and the scope is becoming clear to you, that how we are going to travel, where we are going to stay, how much budget we have, how much money we are going to spend in our stay, how much money we are going to spend in our food and other expenses. So that is your progressive elaboration, which is very important. And from the examination point of view, there may be certain questions where you need to keep this progressive elaboration in mind. And once you have identified a project, you are set to start a project. You need to start managing the project. And project management is a combination of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques. So what is the knowledge here? So knowledge about the subject, knowledge of the area in which you're going to do this project, domain knowledge, and your project management knowledge. And the skills is your it talks more about the software area, soft skills, because as a project manager you need to spend a lot of time, as per PMBOK you need to spend almost 80% of your time in communication. But what we are going to communicate, with whom we are going to communicate, we will be talking to stakeholders, and stakeholders includes our senior management, our customer, team, vendor, anyone who is involved in the project. And we need to have some skills. We need to require certain skill set to manage, to manage all the issues, to manage and to lead the team, to ensure that the project gets over in time within scope and time and cost. And skills are very, very important. That's why when you go for an interview, when you look for any opening or anywhere, you know, it is clearly written that, okay, we require a project manager who has a good domain knowledge, who is good in this technology, good in this work area, and he is good in negotiation. Communication should be good. Written communication or the verbal communication, that is very important. And then tools and techniques. Tools, project manager is not a one-man army. He is not the one who is loaded with all the arms and who is going to fight the war alone. No. He will have to rely, in fact, the entire project management team will have to rely on certain tools. Your MS Project, I'm sure you must have heard of this tool called Microsoft Project. It is a project scheduling and tracking tool. You may use a lot of tools like this. You may have some cost modeling tool, may have some cost tracking tool, you may have some quality planning tool and tracking tool. And you need to use certain techniques to interpret the information that is coming from all nooks and corners of this project to you. And you have to ensure you are interpreting them in the right way so that that information can help you in taking decisions about the project. Okay, and it also requires your generic management skills. See, PMBOK cannot cover each and every aspect of human behavior. If you have some specific kind of team member or your stakeholders, you need to shift your gear, you need to change your gear, you need to make some changes in your own approach and strategy, that how you're going to ensure that their personalities have the minimum influence or the impact on the project. And for that, you need some generic project management skills, and also professional ethics, very, very important. Okay. So where we are going to use all that information? Where we are going to use our knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques? As a project manager, we have to ensure that all these competing factors of the project, which are not limited to these three, but these three are the key competing factors, which are also called as constraints. So these constraints are your scope, time, and cost. And using our knowledge, skills, tools, techniques, we have to ensure that these parameters of a project, whatever has been agreed upon, remains the same, and our project does not deviate from that. And easier said than done. That is why in the previous slide you have seen that we need to use some generic skills, management skills. It is very, very challenging in the current environment where the change is the only constant thing in our life. It becomes very challenging, it becomes very tough for us to ensure that all these elements remain intact throughout the project. But we will have to do that. And how we are going to do that? We will have to first of all understand that the project that we are working on, it is a part of which larger picture, and where does it fits into the entire the work of the entire organization. So this slide talks about project versus product life cycle. So I will give you an example. Suppose an automobile manufacturer, they decide to come up with a prototype of a new vehicle, and they announce it publicly that we are going to come up with a hybrid car at end of 2016, and it is going to be state-of-the-art car. And their R&D team at that automobile company, they start working on the prototype. They work on the prototype for, let's say, 2 years time. At end of 2 years, the prototype is ready. It has gone through all the tests and it has gone through all the approvals, and now the company is ready to take it to the next level, that is your mass production. And they start manufacturing this car. They continue to manufacture this car for, let's say, 5 years or 8 years. At end of 8 years, they say, okay, we are going to discontinue this product, but we'll continue to manufacture some of the spare parts to provide support to our customers. They will continue to manufacture that for, let's say, next 5 years, and then say we are completely discontinuing this product. So that is the end of your product life cycle. The product here is car, and the life cycle started when this was visualized, when the thought came, when it was initiated that okay, we will have some car. And from the beginning of that thought process towards till the end of that manufacturing of the spare part, it was completely a product life cycle. And between that, there were multiple projects which were undertaken. It also included operations. So a product life cycle is made up of multiple project life cycle, and it may have operations life cycle as well. And in project, in the same example, automobile, so the R&D team starts working on that and make this, do the feasibility study, and after feasibility study it will go for the analysis and detailed design. After design they will build the prototype, and after that it will go for the various rounds of testing, and it has to go through various approvals. So we have the different phases. So these phases will make a project life cycle. So the project here is to develop the prototype. Remember, project lifecycle is a small subset of a product lifecycle. So the project lifecycle, the focus and the objective of this project is to deliver that prototype, and which is divided into multiple phases. And in each phases we need to carry out certain activities. So the team which is working on the prototype, first of all they will do the initiation, and in initiate process group they will say, okay, who are the people? Who are the key people? What is the objective? Why we are doing this feasibility study? They will have some processes which are coming from the initiate, and once they have a clear-cut statement of work, then they will start working on the planning, that how the feasibility study will be conducted. And once the plan is ready, the team will get into the execution. Whatever plan they have made, they will start working on that plan, and once the work is completed, they are going to close it. And throughout this process group, they will have one another process group running there, that is monitor and control. They have to ensure that whatever plan they make, it is within the scope given to them, and whatever plan has been worked upon, has been created, the execution remains within that limits. They don't do anything extra, and when the work is being done, it is as per plan. So they will have to do a lot of variance check, variance analysis. And once it is completed, it will move to the next phase, the phase that is analysis. So it will continue to happen like this. Now, initiate, plan, execute, monitor, control, and close. These are also called as IPAC. So these are the process groups. And these process groups will define the entire project, because they will have all the processes coming within them. And before we talk